Okay, should we, we'll make a start now, if that's okay. If it's okay with everybody, we are recording the session, and that's mainly so that we can put it on the website for anybody who's unable to make today's meeting. They can come back and refer to this. So thank you very much for attending. This was something that was pulled together based on the household support funding. Some background to that. Back in April, the government gave 421 million, made that available to councils across England to support those most in need and to help with the significant rise in costs. The funding did start in April and went through to September. So at the end of September, any money unspent was due to be paid back to the government. We're now nearing the end of that period, and there was still quite a significant amount of money unspent. So after talking to the council and Bernie Davis and a few others, CAL agreed to act as an accountable body for the money so that it could be paid across to CAL, and we could work with particularly the LATAM partners and RSLs to try and get that money out to those who need it most. So the organisations that are really at the coal face working with those in most need. So making the payment through to CAL meant that the council avoided having to make the payments through fuel vouchers. Now this amount of money that's available is restricted to people over 65. There has been other streams of funding which has been made available through children's centres, and there's been some funding that's available to people with no recourse to public funds. But this particular amount is for people over 65, and it's to support them with the rising costs around fuel and food. So at the beginning of this process, it was looking like the council were going to have to make a large payment through fuel vouchers. So they were going to buy time limited vouchers, and fuel vouchers would be issued to people who. The issue with that is we know that not all fuel providers accept fuel vouchers, and there's lots of issues around pay points, people being able to use pay points, especially people who are over 65, people who are quite elderly, getting access to pay points. And also the payment is £250, but can increase, but it would be really difficult because the fuel vouchers are paid of £50 vouchers, so people would be issued quite a few vouchers, and they would have to all be spent by the end of September. So the agreement has been that CAL will receive the money, and then through working with the organisations such as yourselves, who will identify clients who need them and work with us to provide us with information, and we can then make a payment through to the fuel provider. Now, David will run through the process in a second, and also Naomi Maynard, who will talk about how the support for food banks will be paid. But one of the things we're asking for is for your help as a referral organisation to have made the checks with the client to make sure that they're eligible, that you know that they're over 65, and that how they're struggling, or what support they need with fuel. So I'll pass you over now. I don't know if Cosie's actually made an appearance, if she's been able to get here yet. But if not, we'll bring Cosie in at the end. So if I will introduce you now to David Ashton, who's our ICT manager, who will take you through the process involved. Please put any things in the chat, and we'll get to the end and go through them.
Thanks very much, Eva. As I have said, my name's David Ashton. I'm the ICT manager here at Citizens Advice Liverpool. Sorry to make a slight change. Naomi, who's from Feeding Liverpool, can't stay for the whole meeting. So, Naomi, are you okay to go ahead now briefly? And then if we have any questions that come up at the end, we'll email them over to you and we'll get back to everyone.
Thank you so much. And yeah, apologies, I have another meeting to jump onto, and I'm on my colleague's name, Colin Pryor. We're having IT issues today. So Feeding Liverpool is the city's food alliance, and I already work with many of you, but just wanted to plug that we are supporting, along with the Citizens Advice, to get finances out to organisations that run food banks or community food spaces or hot meal clubs that include supporting the over 65s. This money will be able to be used by the organisations to buy food. We know many of them are struggling at the moment with donations kind of being down across the city. So what we're asking is that organisations complete a short survey if they offer any of these type of food supports. I'm going to post the link in the chat at the end, and the deadline is the 5th of September for completing this survey, 5 o'clock on Monday. We've already had over 40 organisations apply, and we're nearing saturation point in that I think, you know, we're nearing most of the organisations we know do this work, but there might be a few of you on here who either haven't heard about it or haven't filled it out yet. So I'd encourage you to do this. This is one way to enable organisations to have a steady food supply this autumn. So I'm going to post the link in the chat, and any questions, I'll also post my email so you can send me an email after this. Thanks for having me, Heather, David.
Thanks very much for coming in, Naomi. Thank you. So thanks everyone. So with regards to the fuel payment, I'm going to talk you through how to make a referral. And as Heather was saying, it's really important that you're able to collect the client's information and pass it through to us. Wildcard is supporting with the delivery of or the payments. We don't have the resource to then go ahead and contact each individual client to seek this information. But as I'll show you through the process, we will be making sure that we can follow up with the client with any advice needs or passing them on to relevant organisations. So it's really important that everyone here as partners work together to ensure that that information is handed over. So I'm just going to share my screen. Okay. So just to recap on the criteria set by Liverpool City Council, the target population is anyone who's resident in Liverpool and aged 65 or above. And then to help prioritise this, we're looking for people who are receiving of any kind of benefit. Now that also includes state pension. Payments can usually be up to £250, but could go up to £500 by the discretion of the organisation based on the individual client circumstances. What we would ask if you're making a referral and it's more than £250 to give the reasons why, so we can monitor this, and also to be mindful of the other support that is out there. For example, it could be one of the utility suppliers' own funds that are available and maybe a more appropriate source of support for those clients. Referrals to be made online using the form that I'm about to show you, and all information must be supplied in the referral. As I say, there's going to be a number, probably 2,000 to 3,000 referrals as part of this project, and CARS and organisation won't be able to phone all those people to seek missing information. We'd rather focus on providing the support that's needed. So please do help us by providing all that information that's needed, which is the client details, their utility provider, the utility provider account number, including those on prepayment meters, and the amount of support that's required. Okay, so the website, which you'll have received a link to in the email, I'll post it in the chat here at the end, and we'll circulate it again in the email that follows this webinar. It's Carl's website /fuel support, and on there's a link to make a referral. That's in the middle of the screen here. But there's also the information on the right-hand side that we need, that I've just been over there: the utility provider, account number, prepayment or credit, value of payment, and confirmation that the client is being referred is the utility bill payer. Towards the end of that web page, you'll also see some links to further documents. So we've got a newsletter about energy for August, and also some postcards that you may want to download and circulate to your staff, volunteers or colleagues to help promote this project that we have running. On the left-hand side is just a screenshot of a newsletter that's available on the website and an example of a postcard. There's 3 different designs of a postcard depending on the client group that you work with. So it's probably best to choose yourself which one's most appropriate to your organisation. Okay. When you click the referral link, you'll be asked to enter your email address. This is rather than using usernames and passwords. Understandably, we need to keep the site secure, but we don't want to have to, introduce usernames and passwords for this. So you enter your email address, and as long as your organisation has been added to the list of organisations who can refer, which everyone who's been invited to this meeting has been already, you'll receive a link by email. When you open that email, it brings up this form, and if you can see my whole screen, you'll see I've filled out this form here. I've just put the basic information that's needed, so I've used my own name for this demonstration. I've entered a contact telephone number and email, and my as a client, my preferred method of contact, and then some consents are down here. The more information you can provide, it's appreciated, but the essential part is one method of contact, the client's name and postcode, and the 5 questions which are on the website. So we'd recommend you copy them from the website and paste them into this form, and let us know who the client's utility provider is. In this example, it's British Gas. I've given a fake account number there on a credit meter for £250. And that, yes, in this example, I'm a bill payer. If there are any specific requirements, you can mention them underneath. And there is also an area for attachments to be added. So say, for example, you're working with a client who's got multiple debts and they may need support from citizens' advice regarding those debts. It's helpful to add those files to a referral, because then we can follow up with a client. Don't worry if you don't have them there and then. Indeed, if we identify that a client needs debt support, we'll follow up with them in due course. But if you do have things to hand anyway, it's always good to attach them, because that saves a client from having to do it themselves. And then indeed, if you just tick the box to confirm that consent for referral has been provided. When we receive a referral on our CRM system, we will make sure that the client record is updated, the relevant payment information is added, so their utility provider and account details, and then we're going to be making the payments once a week once the funds have been received. So we're expecting the grant to be received on Friday, and then from next week we'll be making weekly payments to the utility providers. If any information is missing, we would need to refer this back to yourselves, and if there was significant information missing, we would need to refer a client back to yourselves so that you could follow up on that. We will do our best to follow up if it's only, say, something small that's missing and we can make contact with a client. We will do that where it's easiest, but as I say, we need everyone to work together to enable this to be processed as efficiently as possible in the client's interests. Okay, we're internally with a procedure guide for the teams who are involved in this, and we're going to be monitoring the progress every week and then updating that as appropriate. So if there are any significant developments that happen or any key information that comes back that we need to obtain for particular clients, we'll of course update the network, but we feel that we've done sufficient research to know that we're asking all the right questions at this stage. We've contacted a number of utility providers to check the information they need to enable these payments to go forward. The key thing is having the account number, and inevitably we are aware that sometimes typos can occur. All the utility providers use checksums within their account numbers, so they don't use sequential account numbers. We use a checksum, so we're not going to accidentally make a payment to the wrong client. Sorry. So if any payment errors come back, we will follow up on them and make contact with a client or the referring organisation, depending what's most appropriate. We will track the payments that are made to each client, so we can report back to Liverpool City Council on this. And as I say, we'll also be making onward referrals internally and externally where appropriate. I know I've said it a number of times, but needing everyone to work together through the LATAM network, we will be making external referrals so that the most appropriate organisation can support the clients. If you do identify any client needs, please consider yourself, within the LATAM network, please consider who is the most appropriate organisation to help with those specific needs, because we've got the whole network working together, and you can make referrals through ReferNet. But the onus is on the partner to provide all of those details at the point of referral. The money isn't going to run out straight away. We will keep an eye on the number of referrals coming through. As Heather said, there's £1.4 million available from the City Council, and we will provide regular updates on that. But say in the coming, I'd estimate 3 weeks, please don't hold me to this, we will update you, but say that for the next 3 weeks, it's safe to spend a bit of time following up with your clients to get all the information that's needed. After that time, keep an eye out on the information that's coming from us so we can keep you updated on progress on the funds. I've actually covered that information there about payments, so I'll move on. And Naomi has spoken already about the food support. Just to recap what Naomi was saying, the funds available from the City Council, there's a dedicated amount for food support as well, separate to this 1.4 million. And Feeding Liverpool are working with food bank organisations to ensure it's distributed appropriately to support the same client base, those aged 65 and over. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen now. If anyone has any, okay, some questions have come through, I believe. Let's check this.
Yeah, it's mainly about sharing the information. David, if you could share the information.
That's great. We will do, everyone. And this, as Heather mentioned, this has been recorded, and we'll make this available online afterwards for anyone who couldn't join us just now.
Can I just, before we go on to that, just make one comment there? The other thing with this is, although we're making the payments across to the fuel provider, we understand that some people over 65 may not be responsible for the fuel costs, but as long as we have evidence that they, and you're satisfied that they live in that household, then that can still be made to that household. So you could have mum living with the daughter, and the daughter's responsible for the fuel, but that can still be paid as long as that client is happy for that payment to be made. Also, this is open to people with no recourse to public funds, but it does have to satisfy somebody over 65 being in the household as well. Thanks, David.
Thank you.
And hello, Cozy. I believe, Cozy, you're here. An unusually quiet Cozy. Okay, do you want to go across to questions then?
I will do. So starting at the top, there's a good question regarding how would this work if a client lives in sheltered accommodation and some utilities are paid via service charge? Now, when we set up this project, we were working on the guidance from the City Council, and it's been designed to pay directly to utility providers, with the original suggestion from the council about using vouchers. They were going to be for those on prepayment meters, and it would still ultimately have had to be spent with the utility providers. But that is a good point. So what we'll do is we'll hold that question, and we're going to take it away to find out if there's anything that can be done. I'm not sure what the answer is going to be at this stage, but we will follow up with the City Council, and any update will be circulated afterwards. Paul has asked if the account needs to be in the name of a person who's over 65. The utility provider account doesn't, but the person who's eligible does need to live at the same address. So if there's any specific circumstances, if you just mention it in the referral form so that we have it on record when reporting back to the City Council. It is preferable that the referral is in the name of, so the referral needs to be in the name of a person over 65, but the account definitely needs to be at the same address where they live. Helen has asked if we need to wait until next week. No, the system's live now, Helen, and you're welcome to go ahead. If anyone wants to forward on the emails that we've sent to organisations that you work with, you are welcome to, but please be aware that I need to add those organisations to the referral form if they haven't worked with Citizens Advice in the past. So if you do forward it on, please copy me into the email just so I can check. We've been asked if this is just referrals from individuals on this call or also other organisations. So I feel I've covered that question there. And Colette, you've mentioned Heather's answered your question. Cozy's going to keep the LATAN members in the loop, and yeah, that's actually all the questions. We'll give you another minute or so in case any more come through. We are here, but at this point, is there anything, Heather, do you want to add something?
Yeah, can I just ask, it's not just people that we've worked with, it's the LATAN network. So if you know organisations who maybe are not involved with the LATAN network, it's just because we have to have some, the way Naomi is sending out a survey to food banks. This was a way for us to be able to link with a large number of organisations through the LATAN network. So we've assumed that everybody within the LATAN network is trusted partners, and therefore, if you're sending people through to us and you're telling us that they are over 65 and that they're in need of this funding or indeed enhanced funding, then that's fine. If it's organisations that are not part of the LATAN network, then it will just be a case of having to add them into certain things and maybe speaking to somebody from that organisation. And of course, the other good thing is this could encourage more people to be partners of the LATAN network. Sorry, can people speak on this?
Yes, if anyone wants to turn on your cameras or come in with a microphone for question, Colette, your hands up.
I didn't know whether or not it was held in some way. No.
Colette, you've asked what does the LATAN, so what does LATAN stand for? That's the Liverpool Access to Advice Network. And if you're not already a member, Cozy will be able to follow up with you afterwards.
It's very quiet, and it's not like Cozy not to come through. So I'm just wondering if there's an issue. I think people are saying that the microwave and cameras have been disabled. Is that something? If that's the case, that has been done accidentally. That's certainly not anything that we've intended to do. So just give us a second while we try and resolve that. I thought it was very quiet. It's not like the LATAN network to be so quiet. Hello, hi Abby. You okay? Abby, was that Abby who was talking?
That was Emma.
Emma, hi, are you okay? It's okay, no problem. Good to hear from you. Was there something that you wanted to?
No, it's been asked. It's been answered in the chat, but thank you anyway.
Okay, it's good to see faces as well now. It's quite disconcerting when you're talking to lots of blank screens.
Yeah. Hi Heather, it's Colette here from Regenda Homes.
Hi, Colette.
Yeah, just it says that the support is available up to £250. Now, from the chat, it seems to me that it is a one-off $250 and more in exceptional circumstances. So it's never going to be less than $250. Is that correct?
That's right.
That's okay. Right. Thank you. Yeah, that's fine.
It's a payment of $250. Now, the other thing with that is obviously people can have different suppliers for gas and electric, and they can choose to split it between the two if they want, or nominate one or the other. And you will see the form that David's designed does ask for that information. So when you're working with your clients, if you just find out which they prefer, or if it's going to be a split payment.
Okay.
I mean, the other thing with this is, when we were initially talking with the council, we were talking about how we established that somebody might need that support. But I think with the announcement the other day of the 80% increase, I think most people are going to be in a position, certainly most pensioners living on a pension that's not going to rise in line with inflation, are going to need that support. But for people who you're looking at the enhanced payment of up to £500, that's where we will need some narrative to explain why that's needed. So whether somebody's got arrears that need paying off, facing disconnection, or wherever the reason is, if you can put that in there, because we are going to have to justify that back to the council.
Yeah. Heather, can I just ask, generally, I mean, Regenda Homes normally have a supply of fuel tokens themselves, which we distribute to our tenants.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, at the moment, we haven't got any, so I've done a couple of applications to Liverpool City Council, the welfare assistance scheme, as I call it. Now, I'm assuming if we get a client over 65, that we don't go down that avenue, we actually use this service.
Yeah, I think what we're hoping to do is try to make what little is available already stretch that bit further. So if we can look to making sure we get as many people access to this, and then that will allow, because fuel vouchers, they are thin on the ground now, and there's so much need for them. If we can look to other ways, and as David was saying before, one of the things we're trying to do is this payment is it's a one-off payment, but for ongoing things we are trying to work within some of the fuel providers grant schemes or the schemes that they've got going, just to try and make things stretch that little bit further, because it's going to be a really tough winter, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just
can I just ask again, Heather? Sorry to keep
of course. No, it's fine.
It says that the scheme is for people who are age 65 and over. So that means that they don't have to be the official pension credit age. They don't have to be 66.
No, they don't.
So from 65, even if they're on employment and support allowance or universal credit, they are still eligible. So it's age related, not benefit related. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
And one of the things, and the other thing is that it could be that, like we found before, somebody who is in a couple and the bill payer isn't 65. It's okay if their partner's 65. That's fine.
So we're looking at like mixed age couples then, yeah. Or
within the family. Provided there will, we will be doing some checks to make sure that there's no duplication, as far as possible. But no system is foolproof, so that's why we need as much help your end as possible in just making sure that you've got all the details and you've just checked that they are residents of that house.
Yeah. Could I just ask one more question? Sorry,
no problem.
I'm just thinking as I'm listening. You said the 250 can be split between utility, either electricity or gas or what have you. Can the clients actually request, instead of being half and half, that the majority goes to one supplier and the balance goes to another, because they may have quite a high debt with one and not the other? So they can request it. It doesn't have to be a 50-50 split.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. So when you're making a referral, if you just enter the amounts as to how it's going to be split and the supplier and account numbers, and then when we add it to our system, we'll add it with those details.
Thank you.
One of the other things that we're looking to try and do is maybe a take-up campaign around pension credit, or because quite a lot of people may not have had access with an advice agency or an advisor before, so coming through, it might be a good idea to just try and speak to them about their benefits and see whether there's any income maximisation we can do, and really use this to try and positively affect their income going forward. Andrea, have you got your hand up?
I have. I was just going to ask, when you've said the account number, if they don't know the account number but they know the payment reference, when they've got prepayment meters and they've just sometimes got a number that they give over to the pay point or whatever to top it up, is that number enough, or is it the actual account number that you need?
The payment reference number will be okay if it's provided by the utility company. So as long as it's a utility company provided reference number, then it'll it'll enable the payment to go through. And Andreas, Paul's asked a similar question about, or someone's touched on about prepayment meters. In almost every situation, we'll be able to make payments to the utility providers for those who are on prepayment meters. but we are anticipating there might be a very small number of people who find that we're not able to make payments that way, but we're waiting for that situation to arise to deal with it directly with the utility suppliers. Based on our initial research, all of them will be able to receive payments, even if they don't have a smart meter, because it'll go through when next time they go and make a top up.
Although you do have, we have some prepayment tokens just in case as a fallback. What we're trying to do is really try to avoid, because I think, you know, prepayment meters are coming in by stealth. I think a lot of people were encouraged to get smart meters fitted to be able to control, you know, to identify what they were using. But what they didn't realise is that whereas years gone by, the fuel provider had to physically change the meter to turn it into a prepayment meter. When people have got smart meters, it's just a flick of a switch and it becomes a prepayment meter. And along with that comes the additional charges that can go on it. So what we're really trying to do is to let people know about that and avoid being flipped over to that prepayment meter where possible. Because I do think that was something that was quite underhand in fuel providers bringing those smart meters in. Yasmin? Sorry.
Hiya. I'm not sure. Did you mention a deadline by the end of September? If I'm correct?
Well, the household support fund does have to be paid out from the councils by September. So by the 30th of September. However, because we've agreed to be the accountable body, it's been paid, or well, it hasn't yet, but it will be paid across to us. So it will be classed as coming out of their coffers. So fortunately, it extends that period, because I think, you know, it would have been really difficult to try and get this turned around for so many people in such a short time. So we anticipate it being available September, October, November, depending on the take up.
Okay.
But as David said, we will keep it going and you know, giving you an update of how much is still available.
And also, this is referral only, and not, there's no option of self referral.
There is. We will have a self referral, but that what we're trying to say is as limited as possible, because obviously it transfers, because there's no money available with this other than paying the money out. So and we have to think of, you know, the impact of lots of people contacting us. So where possible, if you can get that information and feed it through, that's great. But there will be a referral number becoming available.
Okay.
Okay, any other, sorry, I can't see whether there's any other hands up there.
Yasmin, your hand's still up. Are you okay?
Sorry, I'm
okay.
I'll remove it.
Okay.
I'm terrible for leaving my hand up all the time.
Paul's mentioned about the possibility of two payments going to one household. So just for everyone's assurance, the checks that we have, there's a number of different checks that we'll have on the referrals that are coming through to try and avoid any situation where, say, people are receiving an amount that's possibly unfair. We've informed the council of what checks we propose to have, and they're satisfied with that. So we'll just have to monitor it. And as Ever said, no system's absolutely perfect, but this is something that we set up rapidly, working with everyone in the LATAM network and the City Council. And well, none of us want to be in this situation where such a scheme has to exist. It's where we are as a society, and it's likely that this kind of thing will happen again. So any lessons that we learn from this, we will incorporate into any future iteration.
Cozy, hi, you okay? You coming in?
Hi, yeah. I just wanted to make sure, David, did you see the question from Paul Fever about whether it's possible for one household to have two payments if the bills are in two different names?
Yeah, that's being done. Can I just clarify on that? Do you mean
Apologies, my connection is a bit all over the place, so I missed that.
It's okay, no problem. Paul, do you mean if like the gas is in one name and the electric's in another name? Because I'm just thinking, yeah.
That's what he actually said. I don't know if Paul's dropped
Okay.
out or if he's still here.
Okay, I mean, David, is
He
there?
is
is
still
there a
here. He's just on the chat. He just said yes.
Okay.
So I feel as the referring partner, Paul, if you were working with both clients, it'd be prudent of your organisation to have that discussion with a client and let them know it's a payment for the household. It's still okay to make 2 referrals and say person A, and then this is their utility reference number, and they receive £125, and then the same for the second person, because whilst we will have checks in place to make sure that there aren't any duplicate entries, etc. There's going to be a lot of processing going on here, and it is possible that something could slip through, but we'll do our absolute best to make sure it doesn't. And any payments that we're making, each and every payment's getting reported back to the council.
Okay. Is there anything else there? And the other thing that we will be doing is where COSI will be reporting this through the normal LATAM meetings, and we'll be sending updates out to the RSLs and things. So hopefully we'll be able to give you quite a bit of information so you can see how the funds are being accessed and what's available. And also, if you have any issues with it, please come back to us and let us know. If somebody's not able to get through, or you can see from the people you're dealing with that something is being missed out, please come and talk to us about it so we can make sure that that's put right. Okay, Naomi's not here now, so I think that's it from us. Thanks very much for attending, and please, like I say, keep in touch, let us know if there's anything you think we need to put in place.
Thanks very much, everyone.
Yeah,
Take
thank
care.
you. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.